For weeks, a quiet unease has been building beyond the gates of the royal residence. Commentators, observers, and the public at large have all been circling the same unanswered question. Where is Prince Louis, and why has the royal family's youngest child seemingly vanished from public view? The silence has not felt like ordinary privacy. It has felt like something carefully guarded. And then, King Charles broke that silence. His public statement, described by those who covered it as both serious and unusually reflective, sent ripples across international headlines. He offered few concrete details, yet the tone alone carried the weight of something far more significant than a routine royal update. Rather than settling the public's growing concern, his words quietly confirmed what many had already begun to suspect, that this situation runs deeper than the palace had initially let on. But here is what most people missed entirely, and it changes how you understand everything that came after. In the earliest days, the shift in Prince Louis's public presence was almost imperceptible. Schedules were adjusted without announcement. Engagements proceeded as normal on the surface. Yet those paying close attention noticed that something familiar was missing: his energy, his expressions, his visible participation in royal life. Palace representatives were quick to offer simple explanations. He was resting. He was maintaining a quieter profile. For a brief window, those answers held. But days turned into weeks, and weeks, as they tend to do, have a way of making silence much louder. Public curiosity accelerated rapidly. Social media filled the vacuum that official channels left empty. Every revised appearance on the royal calendar, every photograph scrutinized for detail, every canceled engagement became raw material for speculation. People began asking harder questions about health, about family dynamics, about what the palace was choosing not to say. Then came the statement from King Charles. Those experienced in covering the monarchy were quick to point out that it did not follow the familiar script of royal reassurance. There was no projection of confidence, no breezy dismissal of concern. Instead, the delivery was careful, personal, and notably introspective. He framed the matter not as an isolated issue, but as something that touched on broader challenges the institution itself had been navigating. The statement's power was not in the facts it revealed. It revealed very few. Its power was in what it expressed: a visible weight of concern, a departure from the palace's usual posture of composed control. Analysts who have spent years covering royal affairs describe the atmosphere surrounding this communication as unusually serious. They noted that the extended silence preceding it did not appear accidental. Evidence suggests that internal discussions about the situation had been underway well before the public became aware anything had changed. Those conversations were kept contained, evaluated internally, managed carefully, in the interest of preserving continuity and institutional stability. This is consistent with the monarchy's deeply embedded culture of discretion. Within that framework, controlling the public narrative is not merely a preference. It is a long-practiced discipline. Measured communication, consistency of image, and the careful management of perception are all central to how the institution operates. That culture, observers suggest, is what led to the cautious and delayed approach in addressing Prince Louis's absence publicly. The consequence, inevitably, was that speculation rushed in to fill the space where information was withheld. Attention has also landed on Prince William and Princess Catherine, whose own public presence has been notably reduced during this same period. Media analysts have raised the pointed question of why clearer communication was not offered to the public sooner. Those with insight into royal communications suggest the initial silence was a deliberate strategy, an attempt to avoid premature conclusions before a fuller picture had been established. In principle, that reasoning is understandable. In practice, however, the longer the silence stretched, the harder it became to contain the questions it generated. Once King Charles's statement was made, however limited in scope, the carefully maintained equilibrium began to shift. Even constrained transparency creates an opening. When institutions speak publicly about sensitive matters, even cautiously, it inevitably reshapes the conversation around them. Prince Louis's absence from public life is no longer simply a matter of adjusted royal schedules. It has become a sustained subject of public concern and media examination. The focus has gradually moved beyond curiosity about one child's whereabouts toward a broader reckoning with how the monarchy manages communication, privacy, and public trust. What comes next will be watched with extraordinary attention by the press, by royal observers, and by a public that has learned to read the spaces between official words just as carefully as the words themselves. This situation, as personal as it is for the family at its center, now intersects with much larger questions about institutional transparency and the modern relationship between the monarchy and the people who follow it. How those questions are handled in the weeks ahead will define the narrative for a long time to come. As the spotlight remained fixed on the royal household, observers began placing Prince Louis's prolonged absence into a much wider context. Analysis of Part 2. Topic: Royal Family's communication patterns, Prince Louis's selective appearances, Kate's cancer disclosure, Harry's departure and interviews, William and Catherine's parenting philosophy. Narration style: documentary style, analytical, layered with historical context and examples. Tone: measured, informative, gradually building institutional context around the central mystery. Flow: widens from Louis's absence, right arrow broader royal communication, patterns right arrow family dynamics, right arrow Harry's impact, right arrow institutional evolution. To truly understand what is happening now, it helps to step back and look at how this family has consistently chosen to handle sensitive matters, because Prince Louis's reduced visibility does not exist in isolation. It sits within a much longer, well-established pattern. Kensington Palace has, over many years, developed a deeply deliberate approach to what it shares publicly, particularly when the subject involves the health or personal circumstances of close family members. Perhaps the most prominent recent example came in March 2024, when Catherine, Princess of Wales, publicly revealed that she had been diagnosed with cancer following what had initially been described as planned abdominal surgery. In that announcement, she was candid about how demanding the experience had been, not just for her personally, but for the entire family. She and Prince William, she said, were reminded powerfully of what truly matters: health, family, and the quiet dignity of recovery away from public scrutiny. That disclosure did not come immediately. It came when the palace decided the time was right, and that distinction matters enormously. Because the pattern you are about to see repeated across years, across different members of this family, reveals something the palace has never publicly admitted. The strategy is consistent. Information is released selectively, on the institution's own timeline, and only to the degree deemed necessary. During Catherine's treatment and recovery, official guidance was clear. Meaningful updates would be shared when the family felt it was appropriate to do so, not in response to public pressure. The intention was to honor personal privacy while acknowledging a public dimension that could not be ignored entirely. The inevitable consequence of this approach, however, is a recurring gap between what the public wants to know and what the palace chooses to say. And in that gap, speculation reliably rushes in. When it comes to their children specifically, William and Catherine have occasionally offered the public a window into family life, but always on their own terms. Prince George and Princess Charlotte have appeared alongside their parents at significant national occasions, including the Trooping the Color in June 2025. Prince Louis, however, has been notably less present at such events, and that absence has not gone unnoticed. His non-appearance at the Wimbledon men's singles final was a particular moment that drew commentary. It stood out because it diverged from the pattern of shared family appearances that royal watchers had come to expect. The family addressed this quietly. Louis was sent a signed tennis ball so he could still feel connected to the occasion, a small but telling gesture that reflected their effort to balance his well-being with the realities of public life. The broader principle at work here is one the palace has consistently applied to its younger members. Children, especially those still in formative years, are shielded from heavy media exposure. Decisions about when and where they appear publicly are made individually, based on readiness, comfort, and age appropriateness, not by a fixed schedule or public expectation. For a child as young as Prince Louis, this naturally means fewer appearances than his older siblings, and that is by design rather than by circumstance. This protective instinct has also expressed itself in legal terms. William and Catherine have pursued legal action against media outlets that published intrusive photographs of their family during private moments, demonstrating the lengths to which they will go to guard personal life from unsolicited exposure. It is a posture that reflects both genuine parental concern and a sophisticated understanding of the media landscape they operate within. Despite these boundaries, the family has continued to fulfill its ceremonial responsibilities. In late 2025, Prince George appeared with his mother at the Festival of Remembrance in London, a significant event in the national calendar that honors the country's history of service. Prince William, meanwhile, has spoken publicly about parenting and mental health with a degree of openness that would have been unusual for previous generations of royals. He has spoken about encouraging emotional expression in his children, about the importance of open communication within the family, and about normalizing conversations around mental well-being, themes that resonate widely in contemporary society and signal a conscious evolution in how this generation of royals chooses to present itself. Taken as a whole, this picture reveals a family engaged in a constant and careful negotiation between the weight of tradition and the demands of modern public life, between protecting private space and honoring public responsibility. When official communication becomes limited, whether around a senior royal's health or a child's reduced public visibility, interest and esprit, speculation are inevitable. But the documented pattern across many years shows a deliberate and consistent strategy. Reveal what is considered appropriate at a chosen moment, while preserving the family's ability to manage personal matters privately. That strategy, however, does not exist in a vacuum. It is shaped and complicated by the broader dynamics within the royal family itself. In 2025, Louis was present at several key ceremonial occasions, including the Trooping the Color. His absence from other events was consistently framed by commentators and palace-aligned sources as a reflection of age-appropriate choices rather than anything concerning. When his siblings George and Charlotte sat alongside their parents in the royal box at Wimbledon in July 2025, Louis's absence was characterized in media coverage as entirely consistent with decisions made for a child of his age. The selective nature of his involvement was presented as a reflection of thoughtful parenting, not internal crisis. Yet another dimension has shaped how the public interprets royal relationships in recent years, and that dimension cannot be ignored. Prince Harry's public reflections on life inside the monarchy have left a lasting imprint on how audiences read royal communication. His televised interview, which coincided with the release of his memoir Spare, offered a candid account of his experiences within the institution, his relationships with his father and brother, and the emotional toll of royal life. The level of personal disclosure involved was striking, and it generated enormous commentary precisely because it pulled back a curtain that the palace works carefully to keep drawn. Media analysts note that while Harry's account is rooted in his own subjective experience, it has permanently colored the lens through which many observers interpret royal family dynamics. Every moment of palace silence, every adjusted schedule, every measured official statement is now read, by at least part of the audience, through the context Harry's words provided. In contrast, Prince William has spoken publicly about the profound influence of his late grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, on his sense of duty and purpose, particularly in his work connected to Windsor Castle. These remarks strike a very different tone: continuity, legacy, and institutional commitment rather than personal grievance. The contrast between the two brothers' public voices has itself become a recurring subject of analysis. Adding further texture to this landscape is a forthcoming biographical work, William and Catherine: The Intimate Inside Story, due in 2026. It promises to offer a closer look at how the Prince and Princess of Wales have navigated the intersection of family life, public duty, and institutional expectation over the course of their relationship. Such accounts, whether authorized or independently reported, inevitably shape public understanding of decisions made behind palace walls. What has emerged consistently from William and Catherine's own public statements is a philosophy of parenting that blends respect for royal tradition with a genuine commitment to emotional well-being. They have spoken about mental health openly, about the importance of children feeling emotionally supported, and about creating family environments where honest communication is valued. These are not incidental remarks. They reflect a considered and modern approach to raising children within one of the world's most scrutinized institutions. The picture that emerges from all of this is not one of dramatic internal conflict. It is something more nuanced and, in many ways, more interesting. An ancient institution in the ongoing process of adaptation, trying to honor tradition while making space for the very human realities of the people within it. Limited communication does not automatically signal crisis. Reduced visibility does not necessarily indicate disorder. What it reflects, more often than not, is the challenge inherent to this particular institution, balancing the intensely private with the unavoidably public, in an age when silence itself is interpreted, and where every gap in information becomes a story of its own. It is within that context that the conversation around Prince Louis's absence must ultimately be understood. And yet, the relationship between Harry and the wider royal family continues to cast its own long shadow over that conversation. Since his and Meghan's decision in 2020, widely referred to as Megxit, to step back from formal royal duties, the couple have built a life primarily in the United States. They have maintained selected public roles, but their connection to the core institution in the United Kingdom has fundamentally and irrevocably changed. The departure was not simply geographic. When Harry and Meghan stepped back from their formal roles under the terms of what became known as Megxit, they surrendered not just titles and duties. They stepped outside the carefully managed world of institutional royal communication entirely. In its place, they built something new, an independent life in the United States, anchored by their own charitable work and media projects, operating entirely outside the palace's control. That shift has had lasting consequences, not only for the couple, but for the flow of communication between Harry and the family he left behind. People close to Harry have described contact with King Charles as inconsistent at best. Communication, by some accounts, has been infrequent and at times strained. Reports indicate that Harry has carried genuine concern for his family's well-being, and that alongside whatever tensions persist, there remains a stated desire on his part to find a path toward reconciliation with his father. The emotional reality appears to be far more complicated than either the palace's measured public statements or the headlines generated by Harry's own disclosures have fully captured. Much of the public narrative surrounding Harry and Meghan has been shaped by what the couple themselves have chosen to share in interviews, in personal statements, and in Harry's memoir. Their reflections on identity, on belonging, and on the institutional culture of the monarchy have consistently ignited global conversation. These are not abstract themes. They speak to deeply personal experiences, and for millions of viewers around the world, they resonated in ways that transcended royal gossip entirely. The most consequential of these moments came in 2021, when a televised interview drew an audience of millions and became one of the most discussed media events of that year. Commentators described it as a flashpoint, a moment that forced a global reckoning with questions about the royal family's internal dynamics, its relationship with the press, and the human cost of life inside one of the world's most scrutinized institutions. It is important, however, to be precise about what those conversations represented. In public reporting, Harry and Meghan's statements have consistently been framed as personal reflections, accounts of lived experience as they understood and felt it, rather than objective, verifiable assessments of institutional fact. That distinction matters. Personal truth and documented institutional record do not always occupy the same space, and responsible analysis requires holding both with care. The palace's responses have reflected this same awareness. Following the 2021 interview, which aired on CBS and generated extraordinary global reaction, Buckingham Palace issued a carefully worded statement. It acknowledged that the family was saddened to learn of the challenges described, while making clear that sensitive matters of this nature would be addressed privately, within the family, rather than through the arena of public debate. It was, characteristically, a response that said just enough to acknowledge the moment without conceding the narrative. That dynamic, personal disclosure met with institutional restraint has played out repeatedly and reveals something consistent and important about how the monarchy operates in the modern era. Senior working royals, including King Charles and the Prince of Wales, continue to fulfill their public responsibilities, undertaking official engagements, championing charitable causes, and representing the crown both at home and internationally. Alongside those duties, they navigate deeply personal circumstances with a sensitivity calibrated to both genuine privacy needs and the realities of sustained public interest. The result is an institution perpetually walking a tightrope between the openness that contemporary audiences increasingly expect and the discretion that centuries of tradition have made instinctive. Neither impulse fully wins. What emerges instead is a continuous negotiation, carried out in real time, under the full glare of global media attention. In the context of documentary analysis, this tension is best understood not as evidence of deception or dysfunction, but as the defining challenge of a historic institution attempting to remain coherent and credible in an age of immediacy. When commentary attributes specific motives to the palace, whether around a child's public absence, a senior royal's health, or the handling of internal disagreements, it is worth remembering that such interpretation reflects the public dialogue surrounding the institution, not necessarily the established facts within it. The discipline of distinguishing between what is confirmed and what is inferred is not a minor one. It is central to understanding the monarchy as it actually operates, rather than as public fascination tends to construct it. Personal perspectives, however, honestly held, are not the same as institutional record, and public narratives, however compelling, are not always a reliable map of private reality. That distinction is one the royal family itself navigates constantly, and it is one that those who observe, report on, and analyze the institution would do well to keep firmly in view.